Hello everybody. Well, as most of the people watching this video know, we've come up against a debt ceiling of $14.3 trillion. And Timothy Geithner, the U.S. Treasury Secretary, set an August 2nd date as default for the United States government of defaulting on their debt obligations. Now, Obama asked for $690 billion for defense budget, 2012 defense budget appropriations bill. This is 9.2% increase over the 2011 bill, budget bill that was passed for this one portion of defense. This doesn't even include nuclear program and a bunch of other things. So $632 billion was what was spent on this portion of defense in 2011, and he wanted $690 billion. Well, what was actually passed by 336 votes to 87 on July 8th was a $649 billion military budget appropriations bill, $17 billion more than 2011. The problem with this is they're trying to cut a deficit of overspending that the U.S. government does by $1.4 trillion every year currently. They're trying to cut that out as coming to an agreement on raising the debt ceiling, but cutting out over $1 trillion in spending. Well, if this is any indication of what we're in for, this is what was just passed by Congress last week. This is incredible. There's intense pressure to cut spending, yet they're passing bills. Basically, they don't care. They're just, this is why you need to have precious metals. You need to have silver and gold, at least a portion. I can't understand all these people that have so much faith in paper when the way that they're just increasing their spending, increasing the debts. They don't care about the U.S. dollar. See, that's the tool that they're going to use, is depreciation of the U.S. dollar in order to keep the ball rolling. And it's starting to pick up speed. This is just totally incredible. There's $5.9 billion of this is to buy 32 Lockheed Martin F-35 strike fighters. Couldn't we just buy 10? We need 32? $15 billion to build 10 Navy ships. We couldn't get by on just 5? $3.3 billion for 28 Boeing F-18 Super Hornets and 12 electronic warcrafts. Totally unbelievable. You're spending a trillion, way over $1 trillion more than you have coming in. And this is necessary. This type of spending is necessary, in the opinion of 336 congressmen. Only 87 congressmen and women. Only 87 thought it wasn't necessary. Now, here's the kicker. This is the great part. There were two other bills that were voted on. A defense spending slowdown. They voted on slowing down the rate of growth of defense spending. Now, this was an amendment to the H.R. 2219 that I spoke of that Congress passed. $649 billion bill. But in voting to slow down the spending from 2011 to 2012, 181 voted for, and 244 voted against. So there was no amendment of ramping up, of slowing down the pace of the spending. This is ridiculous. This is what we're looking forward to. People that are actually in charge of, this is what they're actually passing, as they're supposed to be working, burning the midnight oil, trying to figure out a way to raise the debt ceiling. I heard some Democrats say that, well, it was raised 7 times under Bush. How are we not going to raise it now and put the full faith and credit of the U.S. government at risk? That's the thinking. Well, it was done before, so we just keep going further into debt now. Whatever. You need to have precious metals. That's all I can say. The U.S. dollar's days are numbered, just like every other paper currency in the history of the world. Paper currencies always collapse. That's the way the U.S. dollar is headed. And in my opinion, you need to protect yourself with precious metals. Gold and silver, real money for thousands of years. There are ways of preserving your wealth when paper money crashes. Ask anybody who's still alive who experienced a paper money crash in the past 100 years. Okay, one last thing here. There was a bill voted on for Libya mission funds cutoff. As part of that same bill, the 2219, HR 2219, there was an amendment to cut out any money going towards the NATO-led military action in Libya. 199 voted for, 229 voted against. Voting against, they defeated the amendment to prohibit funding. So 229 want to keep funding, and only 199 didn't want to fund it. So whatever. They can't cut out any spending on these types of issues. Where are they going to cut? I hear, one side of the aisle says, well, we're not going to put the burden on the back of the seniors of the country, and we're not going to cut Social Security and Medicare, and this and that. What? You know what? Just from paying so much attention to all this, we're all doomed with the type of spending we have going on in Washington, and depending on these people to cut the spending that they can't, that they've grown to be accustomed to. It's not going to happen. They're going to raise the debt ceiling, they're going to come up with some type of an agreement, and the US dollar's doomed.